So I've got a question for you this week. Which of these three choices would you take? Would you take the internal promotion? Would you take a move into consulting? Or would you take a move into a startup as a treasurer? That is what I got a phone call about the other day from a really good guy who I've known for a number of years. And he said, Mike, I need some advice. I've currently got 2 job offers on the table and I've got a promotion where I am. They all look good, but I need some advice. So let's go through the different details about all of it. Now, the key thing I would say about this is he wasn't hiring me to recruit. He just came to me for impartial advice because that's what I do. If I can help you today, maybe when you're next looking for your next role, you'll come back to me, or when you're looking to recruit, actually, this guy gives great advice. And that's what you get from the Treasury Recruitment Company, from me, Katie and the team. So I love these chats. It's what I can try and do. So he's got stay in the role, but get promotion. Essentially stagnant though. Jump into consulting, pretty good. Or join a high growth company. So we went through it. So staying in his role. The problem was, as he and I talked about, his boss, where he was, isn't a treasury person. So he was getting some good finance stuff, but not getting any treasury mentoring. And unless the team grows or there's a merger, which looks unlikely, and if it did, maybe he wouldn't have been the first in line because he was the least experienced treasury person, in fact, the only treasury person, he could have been vulnerable. As I said to him, I said, if your business changes, your seat might go. Yes, say for government, when they were offering him at the same time a step up in responsibility, but actually they weren't. It was just more cash. Career progression, pretty limited. And one of the other bits, this finance guy had some exposure to treasury, wasn't really going to act as a mentor. So we were moving away from that, which is also why he was out on the market. Next, option 2, if you like, consulting. It looked very shiny. Better pay, more variety, prestige. But he wanted me to be able to give some insight, if you like, because I said the reality can be a bit tough. I worked with a consultant years ago. I was actually taking him out of consultancy to place him back in a corporate environment. Been in corporate, moved into consulting, and then was wanted to come back into corporate. And actually, I did so actually in Chicago a few years ago. And one of the things was, he and I just talked about it, that on the back of his card, I said, instead of it, on the front of his card, it said the name of the consulting firm. On the back of it, I said it should just say 5 or 6 different logos for some of the companies he'd worked for on these different secondments and assignments, if you like, because he was just bouncing around. He had a family. He was living out of a suitcase. I should just say airport. That's where he spent more time than he actually did at home. But he was getting some great experience. But family life was suffering. One of the things for him, though, was he was a bit more experienced. He got up to the sort of senior treasury manager, stroke assistant treasurer level, and he wanted at the time to make a change. So he did that role for sort of 2.5 years, but then it was the right time. I know that post-COVID, a lot of consultancy firms are wanting also more face-to-face time. During COVID, so you couldn't do it, had to do it virtually, and it showed. But I think a lot of consulting firms, certainly the feedback I'm getting is they're saying, we need you to go and meet the client so we can charge you out. And actually, that is lots of travel. Yes, it's more costly for some of the clients as well. He then said, okay, but if I do go there, what are the pros? I said, you can go there, work for a really experienced treasury guy. And I said, look, the problem with that is, are they going to stay with you day to day? What do you mean? I said, you go in there, they get you to action a project, they supervise you, and right, you're off and running. I've got the other projects and assignment to bill. Oh, yeah. I said, yeah. They're billing across 2 or 3 or 4 different projects. They're not going to sit and mentor you day to day. Okay. You're meant to implement a treasury management system. You're meant to do this, make recommendations. How many have you done? We've only done one really in a previous role. In our current place, we don't really have one. I was like, okay. So it's swinging both ways. So you could get more variety, but what have you got to offer that client as well? But as his next role, wasn't sure. Third one, startup. Startups can be career accelerators or career nightmares. I know. I recruited for boo.com. How do you scare an investment banker? Just shout boo.com. There you go. I know, corny, but it's true. They famously collapsed, and I remember when I was actually told by the Treasury manager I placed that day she'd gone on the site and they sold one handbag. Now, the weird thing was she'd gone on another site, even with their staff discount, she could have got it cheaper elsewhere, not on their site. I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, so I moved on from that as well. But at the other end, and we are recruiting actually for some startup companies, when they've got the backing by billion-dollar capital management firms and things like that, and they're a startup, that's a better runway. You know that your salary is going to get paid next week, next month, the year after. So you're all right. They give you, as Treasury professionals, freedom as well, and a lot of responsibility to shape from day one, which is exactly what he was going to be getting. This one also, he was joining potentially a startup with a CFO who had, actually in the past years, some decent amount of Treasury experience, actually, so I know him. I've helped recruit for him in the past. And at least 2 to 3 years, 2 minimum, but probably 3 years of runway. So lower risk, broader remit, making decisions daily and learning at speed. Yeah. And worst case, 6 to 12 months, say it's not right for him. I said, actually, that environment's going to make you more marketable. And you could then go into consulting maybe, or go into another area, or go back into corporate. I can get you this. So each of the choices had a trade-off. Staying safe but stagnant, career going nowhere. Consulting, prestige, more money, variety, limited mentoring, a lot of travel. Startup, some risk, but I know you guys risk aware, but big learning. But you, as I say with you Treasury guys, you're risk aware, not risk averse. So he was able to, and what a surprise, he went for the startup eventually. So, and congrats on that. As I always say, you guys, it's how much risk you're going to manage for your client, yourselves and your companies, but also for yourselves. So take that same attitude to your careers. And maybe if you're going to stay or consulting or need startup advice, reach out to me. And if you're not sure, and you'll see from the photo, don't have to call Ghostbusters, just call Mike. Thanks.